Battlefield 6 sold 7 million copies in just 3 days, and it still wasn't enough. Not only did it become the best-selling game of 2025 in the United States, but it was also the biggest launch in the history of the franchise. This is a game that dethroned Call of Duty from its more than a decade-plus reign at the top of the charts. And even with launching at over 750,000 concurrent players on Steam, developers are still being laid off. And I'm talking about across multiple Battlefield studios. DICE, Criterion, Ripple Effect, Motive, they're now being cut as EA realigns itself to figure out the future of Battlefield moving forward. Just think about how absolutely fucked this is for 1 second, all right? This is proof that AAA games have completely bloated to an unimaginable size where the only way to guarantee success is with hundreds of millions of players or hundreds of millions of dollars pouring in by the absolute second. And it's unbelievable. It's unobtainable, and it's ridiculous. A game can literally launch as a record-breaking success, dominate the sales chart, and still somehow the people who actually made it are the only ones paying the price. And the more you look at the AAA industry right now, you can see that this is far beyond a Battlefield problem. This is an industry-wide problem. Modern AAA games have become so massive, so bloated, so expensive, and so dependent on a constant flow of cash that no matter what, your game is deemed to be a failure unless it ends up being an infinite money machine. But it's just not feasible because player numbers will dip, content updates can't come fast enough, and not only that, other games will come out that will grab players and push them towards something else. You cannot guarantee that people will stick to your game forever. And to assume that means that you mismanaged it, you have the wrong expectations, and you don't understand the industry that you're in. Battlefield 6 might be one of the clearest signs that this industry is headed towards disaster. The system is broken because when a game can sell millions and dominate the charts, but still triggers layoffs, it proves that the system is broken and that nobody in the AAA space is safe anymore. Now, of course, one of the main things that we have to look at with this situation is the recent acquisition of EA by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund for $55 billion. Now, obviously, this is an insanely large amount of money, and it puts a huge amount of stress on EA because at the time of selling, they had a roughly $2 billion debt, which is obviously a large number and something that they'll have to deal with over time. But because of the way that this acquisition was set up, they are now in the hole for $22 billion. Unbelievable. They have put themselves so far down that every game they release now needs to sell millions of copies or people will be laid off over and over and over again. And it's even why within the first few days of Battlefield selling something like 7 million copies, which means that at the bare minimum, not including microtransactions, just those first few days, they made something like $500 million minimum. And even that isn't enough to secure the future of the people at the studio. And then if the actual issue that is going on with the game is that there isn't enough content to keep people actively engaged, I can guarantee you that letting people go and reducing your team size is not going to speed up that process. Absolutely not. There comes a point where you need to look at some of these AAA studios and understand that the people behind the games, not necessarily the actual devs, not the artists, not the people designing the maps, the management level people and the people in charge have absolutely no fucking clue about what they're doing at all, and all they see are dollar signs, and their goal is to chase those dollar signs, and it doesn't matter what happens along the way. There was a recent interview with Jeff Kaplan on the Lex Friedman show, where Jeff Kaplan basically talked about his time at Overwatch and the reasons why he left Blizzard. And he said that he was brought into the CFO's office and told, right now Overwatch makes X amount per month. We need it to make 10 times that or whatever, or else we're gonna let go of 1,000 people and it's gonna be your fault. Jeff Kaplan, a figure in the industry that everybody respects, you're going to pin an 1,000-person layoff on him because he's not reaching this imagination fucking number that you're chasing? That's bullshit. That's based purely off of the success of games like Fortnite and Roblox that are just infinite money generating machines? Fuck yourself, dude. And it's why when stuff like this happens that you could see people out there on Twitter and on Reddit and people like Legendary Drops and people like Asmongold who are out there being like, fuck AAA games, man. It's about time indie games are pushing them down and beating them so badly, like how Slay the Spire 2 is coming out with hundreds of thousands of concurrent players, and it's beaten AAA games that are just dropping by the day. And I don't want to make that comparison between Marathon again. I think it's tired. Marathon's a good game. Slay the Spire's a good game. They're both fun games. Everybody be chill. But it's gotta hit hard when you see a game that's developed by like 2 to 3 to under 10 people for a lot less money that comes out and just is this massive success. Games like Expedition 33, games like Silksong, games like Slay the Spire 2 that are coming out here, and they're showing the AAA space that not everything needs to be built with $100 million backing, and that not everything needs to be worked on by 1,000 people, and that we don't need to chase the dollars, because if you make a good game, which is really what the point is, making a very good, solid game, if you make something that people actually want to play, then people will play it. The same way that people say, if you make a good movie, people will watch it. If you make a good video on YouTube, people will find it. If you make a good game, people will find it. Yeah, it's hard because there's a lot of shit that's released every day. That's everywhere, man. Make a good restaurant with amazing food. People might never go to it because there's 1,000 restaurants. It happened. But if you make something good, you can beat the people who are chasing money over everything else, because they're not doing it with the intention of making something great. They're doing it with the intention of something that will steal your time and will get you hooked and will get you wanting to spend your money. The goal isn't to make something great. The goal is to get you to be invested and want to continue to put money into the game. That's all it is. And that's also why people celebrate their failures. People were happy that Concord failed. People are happy that Marathon isn't this massive, overwhelming success. I mean, it's doing great, but it's not doing the best ever, and people are happy because they want to see shit like this fail, because they want it to be about games that are good and that are actually designed to just be excellent games. They don't want to see these live service attempts. They don't want Sony to be this studio that attempted 20 live service games and canceled a bunch of potential great games and pulled studios off of games that would actually be amazing to chase this live service bullshit, and then canceled all of them because they know that they're crap and that they're not going to succeed and that it's a waste of money and time. Concord is one of the biggest failures in gaming ever. A horrible mismanagement. Herman Hulst is a goddamn idiot. The people at EA are goddamn idiots. I'm sure this sale of the company to Saudi Arabia was probably unbelievably awesome for everybody who's an investor in EA. You all got big time payoff from your stocks. Good for you, man. But you've probably doomed this company. You've doomed every studio that's working on an EA franchise, and you've doomed all of these potential great games, because now everything is going to be about how do we make $1 bazillion from this? All the games that had the potential to make $50 million, $100 million, $200 million, that's not good enough anymore. How do we make $1 billion? How do we get millions upon millions of players? EA wanted Battlefield to have 100 million players. Are you fucking crazy, dude? You're crazy. AAA games have bloated so much, man. The development cost of some of these games has reached hundreds of $millions. So of course they need to make $1 billion for it to be a success. It's crazy. The amount of time and money that goes into these games is becoming unimaginable. And it's why when you see games come out of Japan that cost $50 million to make, or, you know, like Resident Evil 6, or something like Expedition 33, which costs like $50 million or even less or whatever, that's huge. AAA games wish they could do that. They wish they could spend so little and gain so much, but they don't understand how, because it doesn't make sense to them. The only thing that makes sense to them is, well, Fortnite does it with 1,000 people and they spend $1 bazillion a month and they make $1 trillion a month. So that's what we gotta do. But you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Everybody hates you. And it's why people want AAA games to fail. It sucks, because people used to look forward to a lot of these games. And now the people behind them have made people jaded and have made people resent them. And it's made people out there want everything to be a failure. There needs to be a change in the AAA space. There needs to be a change in the gaming industry, because things are not looking good, dude. They're really not. Please subscribe. I would appreciate it. Thanks for watching.